School board.
Oh, try. 10 till 7.
Call this meeting to order.
Awesome.
Roll call. Council at large Boots.
Here.
At large Spear.
Here.
Ward number 1 Leeper.
Here.
Number 2 Anderson. Here. Number 3 McNeil.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
To the agenda. Does anybody have any additions to the agenda? Seeing as there are none, is there a motion to approve this agenda? Boots with the first.
Second.
And Anderson with the second.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
McNeil?
Yes.
Boots?
Yes.
Alright, so this agenda has been approved. Communications, we actually do have a scheduled communication, so Mr. Hodgkin, make your way to the podium.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did pass out something earlier relating to this discussion. Obviously, you have in your packet what brought this to the agenda, the response you got back from the Department of Management. And it's no surprise to any of you. I think we've discussed this before, and I know Mr. Long has brought this up previously, that we're going to have to phase out using transfers to operate the city. And I've heard that several times here at the council meetings in the last year. So I just briefly want to talk to you a little bit about some additional thoughts I had on that process, and on your responsibility as the governing body of the utilities, in addition to your responsibilities as a council. And so that's why I handed that out to you, because it does go through that a little bit. And a first paragraph that says that the governing body of a city-owned utility, which is in our case the council, must declare a surplus after all obligations. And this is the key word I want to talk to you about tonight, obligations. And that's in Code 384.89 of the Iowa Code. It talks about obligations. And one of the things that quite obvious is that we have some obligations to our electric utilities which have not been being met because we've been using funds from there for other purposes. We had a discussion last meeting about that, whether we would repair an engine for $300,000. Didn't have the money because we needed a lot of that money to go to the general fund. I think we transferred out probably $350,000 or something of that nature in this budget that you're going to approve tonight. So, obligation is the key word that I want to talk about tonight. You guys have an obligation to operate the city and operate your utilities properly and meet their obligations. You also, of course, have an obligation to the city of Tipton to try to operate it in the most efficient manner possible and keep taxes down as low as you can. But on the residents' part, me particularly, and I'm sure most residents feel this way, we have an obligation to support this council when you make the tough decisions to be able to do your job and run the city the best way you can. So I take my obligation seriously, my responsibility to speak up when I feel like something I need to speak up about. But I certainly will support you guys when you're working and doing the best you can to hold down expenses. So I think even tonight, on the agenda tonight, you'll see there's some items on this agenda that you might want to think twice about before you spend the money on it, because going forward, we have enough things in this city with the debt, the street backlog of repairs we've got, the sewer report, which we just got, is going to be expensive. We know we've got the electrical department upkeep and maintenance repairs that are going to need to be done that are going to be expensive. There's a lot of other things are going to come down the pipe. Highway 38 through town. All these things are going to keep coming at you, and you guys are going to have some tough decisions, but I'm telling you tonight, if you make the work hard and spend money where it's necessary, but not on unneeded or just once. Let's spend it on the needs, and I'll be there to support you. I support the budget you're doing. I appreciate you taking the first step to increase your taxes to the extent you have. I would have gone further, but I'm certainly supporting what you've done on that. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If there's anyone else, state your name and address for the record.
Carol asked, 102 Orange Street. I have 3 subjects that I want to cover. I'm going to hand out some stuff here. There's 3 copies there, so you can separate it. I'm going to do a little bit of follow-up what Mr. Hodgson was going over. I've been corresponding by email to city people and getting 0 response to my emails. So I thought I'd come here and at least talk to somebody. The first item, he talked about the surplus and the calculated. And in the Iowa Administrative Code, 2.5, parent 5, that's in yellow, it talks about it's got to be calculated, and it gives you the A and B for the months ahead of time and behind time. I would like to see that calculation using the general accepted accounting principles. I would assume that should have been done. And it's also in your municipal code, 7.04. It's on the second page. Number 6 is the same thing. So if you haven't calculated it, you're not following the Iowa code, you're not following the municipal code. So when you get that calculation, I would like to see it and review it. The second item is the GIS. I've been after that GIS information since March 20th of last year. And I see in today's claims, you got $1,500 going to the company for Esri license. I want to see that program. I'm familiar with GIS. I'm for GIS. I know what it can do, what information you can convey. I would like to see that program on the city computer. I'd like to talk to the individual that operates it. And the final thing is the budget for the aquatic center. I sent an email out, and I would like to have an explanation of the $747,755 for repairs.
All right, the second, or?
That's it. That's my 3 items.
Okay.
Nobody has a question, or? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carol.
Thank you, Carol.
Yes, Ms. Swan. Yeah, you definitely can.
Mary Swan, 1110 King Street. This is something that's been on my mind for a good while, and I'll be really brief. I don't feel the city is in compliance with handicap parking. I know the requirement is you're required to have so many spaces compared to however many spaces you have. And thinking about the downtown area, I can only think of 3. Now I might be missing a couple, but I don't know where they are. There's 2 by Snyder Drug, and I think there's 1 in front of Harley's old barber shop. That's the only 3 I can think of. So, is that up to the city to comply? I don't know. But I think we do a lot more.
Yeah.
I just, now that I need one, I think they should be at the ends of the blocks. So for handicapped people, it's easy to pull in
so many we're supposed to have?
No, it was looked at years ago, Jim, we did the downtown revitalization program. We were in compliance at that point. It was all engineered and designed, and it seemed to me like we were up to snuff at that point.
Also, we can always add more.
Oh, you can add more, sure.
Yeah.
You have to have a minimum, but beyond that, it's whatever. One thing we did realize is though that we needed to have those at the ends of the block where wheelchairs were accessible, not in the middle of the block where there was a curved jump. It has to be where we have those ADA pads, and that works pretty well.
All right. If there's no one else who wants to address the council, we'll move on to the consent agenda, which these can be passed with one motion, and they are the council minutes from February 21st, 22nd, 27th, and March 6th, and then also a liquor license for Monty's Pizza and Grill at 310 Cedar Street. Any of these need to be pulled out, discussed?
Make a motion to approve all.
All right, Boots with the first to approve, and McNeil with the second.
Spear,
Yes.
Reaper,
Yes.
McNeil, Boots,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
All right, so then we've got two public hearings, and I need to move to open a public hearing, right? There is a motion to open the public hearing on the amendment to chapter 155. Anderson with the first, and Leeper with the second.
Oh, yes. Reaper, McNeil,
Yes.
Boots,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear.
Yes.
All right, so now the public hearing has been opened, and this is to limit the gas service pressure to 8.5 inches. Virgil?
Have any questions? It's just about a quarter pound, is 8.5 inch in the water column. And we like to keep that CSST below that pressure.
Skip the next one.
Yeah, we can just close this one and then open another one.
Mr. Mayor, I have
Yes.
a question for Virgil.
Yeah.
Today, someone indicated to me that this might cause a problem for some of your customers, who, are they gonna have to change
No,
their hookups?
no, the only ones that we have over are 2 pounds. We have one customer that's actually a commercial customer.
Okay,
There's no residential there.
so none of the residents should be affected by it, and I also,
No,
this person-
no current customers.
current, and the person I said this to me, and I just want to check to make sure he's telling me right, which it doesn't sound like it so far. Said something about a shut-off, required a special shut-off for some of those lines, or is that not, has no connection to what you're doing?
No.
Okay, well then he was,
We did put excess flow valves on CDS
okay,
because they put in CSST at 5 pounds.
okay. Very good. I just wanted to clarify, so I wasn't fooling around here with the wrong information, because I might have been misled. So, thank you.
All right. Okay. Any other questions? And is there a motion to close this hearing?
So moved.
Spear with the first,
I'll second.
Boots with the second.
Reaper,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Boots,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear.
Yes.
And then
Take another motion to open the hearing on the budget and certification of taxes.
all right, is there a motion to open the annual budget public hearing?
So
Boots with the first, and McNeil with the second.
McNeil,
Yes.
Boots,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Reaper.
Yes.
All right, so that public hearing is open. Any statements or questions or concerns about our budget?
This is the budget that was presented to you the last meeting, and nothing changed that between then and now.
Mr. Mayor, I do have a question.
Yes.
As soon as you can get in. This might be a good point to answer Carol's question, because I think it's in the money that you're talking about is in this budget, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it's,
Capital.
315 fund.
Okay,
That's what I was asking about.
okay, so might somebody explain to Carol and the rest of us exactly what's happening with that $700 and some thousand?
Is that the settlement?
And maybe
Yes.
where it came from.
The
Your-
settlement?
Your settlement was 660,000 and 213 plus thousand with the legal fees. So you only had 423,000, you got 727, so you got, or 747, so you got over $300,000 that had to come from somewhere. Where did that money come from?
The settlement was $650,000, and we had bonded for 137 something, which totals to 700 and whatever thousands of dollars. And that's all for the repairs for the Aquatic Center that have happened from the beginning when it was built going forward.
So the heat, the HVAC, the roof,
The
and
roof,
the
the
crack on
lights.
the wall,
Yes, everything.
and the drywall.
So in effect, you got 650,000, but you're now putting towards the repairs, but the 200,000 we spent on attorney fees and whatever, that's been paid for previously out of other funds.
Other general funds.
Yeah, so basically in net was 400 and some thousand, but that's already, 200's already been covered.
Plus the bonded proceeds.
Sure. Okay. That's all you need to know, Carol? Does that clear it up?
It's still,
No,
No.
no.
Well, that's another
What's gonna
question.
be done? What's
The
required?
HVAC, the roof, and the crack going down the front, and the drywall has been removed by the locker rooms.
so that all is in part until there's a thorough assessment and project can be laid out in a way that the repairs can be carried out in the most efficient manner. The point was to hold that money until such time as the project could be put together and bid out, and
Who's the engineering firm?
we haven't selected,
Oh,
we haven't
you
brought an
don't- you
engineering
don't have
firm to
an
them to
engineering
consult.
firm yet?
I'm sorry, sir.
You don't have an engineering firm that's designed this up?
The engineering firm that designed this is the one that was sued, so we don't want them back.
No,
And
definitely
the
not.
process that the Park and Rec Director and I started last fall was to find engineering firms with competencies in large indoor pools, and then bring them before the council so the council could choose the most skilled firm to set the whole project up. And obviously there have been other things that we've had to accomplish over the last several months, so it's still on hold.
Okay, so how did you arrive at the 747,000 is gonna do the repairs?
I think that probably
Or is
came out
that
of the
just
end.
an estimate?
There was an engineering study that was done that led and supported the lawsuit by a firm out of, I think it was Northbrook, Illinois, near Chicago. And those folks assisted with preparing the documents that led to the successful
No.
suit. Those folks would be in consideration as a firm for looking at putting together the project, but they're from a long distance away, which adds cost. They have a lot of overhead because they're a really high-powered engineering firm of this kind. So we look at them, and there are a couple other folks that Adam Spangler and I have spoken with over the winter months. But again, to take the time, get the time together to put together a spec to correctly select an engineering firm is something we haven't gotten to.
Okay,
So in due time.
thank you.
Too bad.
All right. Is there, no more? Is there
I do have a question, what is the sinking fund exactly?
It's the term that's been used for the bond reserve.
It's the bond reserve, okay.
It's an odd term, but it's been in the books for a long time.
Thank you.
All right. Is there a motion to close this public hearing?
So moved.
Anderson with the first,
I'll second.
and Boots with the second.
McNeil?
Yes.
Boots?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
All right, then, moving on to approval and amendments. We got that ordinance that we talked about with the gas service. This will be the first reading of it. Is there a motion motion to approve this first reading? Or if there, what, is there any questions about it first? Because I think Virgil pretty well explained it, but is there a motion to approve this first reading then?
So moved.
Lieber with the first,
A second.
and Spear with the second?
Boots,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil.
All right. So that first reading has been approved. The second one will be in 2 weeks. All right. So the resolutions for approval, which is the consideration, the first one is the adoption of the budget certification of taxes for the fiscal year ending June 30th of 2018. There are no questions or comments. Is there a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Boots with the first, and McNeil with the second.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil, Boots.
Yes.
All right, so that resolution has been approved. And the second one, which is an agreement between the city of Cedar Rapids and ourselves to share in Cedar Rapids properties for public safety and other related training purposes. You want to explain this first?
Sure, thank you, Mayor. This is something the city of Cedar Rapids has offered to Cedar County and other surrounding communities for a number of years. And I understand that the city of Tipton has participated in these sort of without the cover that a 28E agreement provides. And it is a valuable training opportunity for officers to be able to, if you will, advance on an occupied structure or intervene in a hostage situation. And the city of Cedar Rapids is offering this to, as I said, communities in Cedar County and surrounding. And I recommend, based on my conversation with the chief, recommend that it be approved.
Is there a cost to it?
Pardon? No cost. This is just everyone covering everyone's liability in an appropriate way.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
So how many times are we gonna be going through this? Is this the
Utilizing
one-day
these.
deal, or 2 days, or 3 days, or?
My
How
understanding
many
is that-
officers are gonna be gone from town to go to this at a time?
My understanding is that these are partial day events, and I would assume that we would send sufficient officers for the training while making sure that there's still somebody available, plus our neighboring communities.
This isn't a specific training, this is just to use their
Thank you.
facilities.
Okay,
As in the city of Cedar Rapids facilities.
okay. So the whole police force won't leave town?
No.
And put it up on a big sign, no.
Yeah.
All right, is there a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Spear with the first,
Second.
and Leeper with the second?
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes?
McNeil,
Yes.
Boots,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes. All right, and to the third one, which is resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement assigning sole ownership rights of the Tipton Industrial Park to Tedco, clarifying that ownership rights reside solely in Tedco.
And I'll defer to Steve Leitinger, the city attorney, who has worked with Tedco and their attorney on
Oh, Mr. Reed just happened to walk in.
sorting this out.
All right, I guess, Tim, is there any reason for background on this, or should I just dive
There
right
probably
into the
is.
resolution? Okay, so, you are probably familiar with a installment contract Tedco entered into with Lamps for some property for economic development purposes, of which the city has lent some money in the past pursuant to a separate agreement with Tedco. And that installment contract is coming due. There's some approximately $360,000 due and owing on it. Tedco has considerable equity in the property, and as some of you may know, what happens with a real estate installment contract if you do not pay in full is that you forfeit your right to all of it. What Tedco has proposed doing is utilizing the property as collateral, so basically giving a mortgage on the property in order to secure the purchase funds, rather than coming to the city and seeking to utilize any revolving funds that may be entitled to seek. The issue that has come up, and that I've learned of and spoke with Tedco's attorney, is that immediately after that installment contract was signed, after it was signed by Tedco, it was assigned to the city. All right, title, and interest to that contract. So the Tedco attorney and I aren't entirely sure why this was done the way it was. We suspect it was done to provide the city some degree of security for funds it was lending towards the purchase of these amounts. And I guess a side effect of all of this was you weren't only obtaining any security in the property, you're assuming all obligation under that note and essentially, or the contract, and essentially becoming the buyer. With this amount coming due, I think it's probably safe to say the city doesn't want to be on the hook for $360 some odd $1,000. So, in order to facilitate funding, Tedco is asking the city to sign that contract back to Tedco in order to clear title and allow maintain mortgage on that property. I have reviewed the assignment. I've prepared the resolution in your packet. I'm comfortable with the assignment. And just so you're all aware, in speaking with Tedco's attorney, I am working on a mortgage and note agreement that covers the money that has been lent to Tedco for this particular project. Now, it's going to be a second mortgage because there's not a way for us to sneak in ahead of the bank while they have a loan in process. But as mentioned earlier, there is equity in the property. So I think this affords the city the best security it can obtain at this time and ensure that all that equity isn't lost. And at the same time, not have to fork any money over to make this happen. So, any questions?
What's the balance that Tedco owes the city?
Somewhere, well, Jim's probably a better person to ask.
Don't have that with me offhand. I think it's around $500 and some thousand, if I remember right. 575 comes to my head for some reason.
So it wouldn't be in our interest to have us removed as the responsible party, but could they at the same time then just reassign us to put us in first position?
No. The bank's going to insist upon priority in order to lend those funds. I think the loan is set to fund around the 31st. They're going to close on their loan. So we'll have our documents prepared and be ready to slip in with our reporting shortly after that, hopefully. Which would give us second priority.
So there are two things happening. I mean, there's more than two things happening, but two critical things happening are this clarifies the ownership rights to Tedco where they're supposed to be, so that they can be the transactors of this property and keep it as a community development corporation owner. And the other is paving the path so that private funds can be borrowed to pay off the LAMP loan and not impinge on that letter of credit that TEDCO has with the city. And we take second position because of the timing and what happened. We, the city, take second position on that.
Correct.
It might help to know, I think it's around 66 acres, and probably average value, and we're being conservative,
10,000 an acre.
10,000 an acre, well, I'd say 20,000 an acre. I mean, we've been getting 30 to 40,000 an acre, times 66 acres, that's $1.8 million. Between the two loans, I think we've got 800,000 borrowed on it. I think there's plenty of equity there.
I mean, it's 10,000 an acre, you're just gonna leave it as farmland, so we
Correct.
have equity in it, even if we don't parcel it out.
When would the city be priority?
Pay it back. To get paid back, well, the mortgage is the mortgage is simply in the event of a default on the loan, the city would have second position. The payment due date is governed by your loan agreement with TEDCO.
The existing loan agreement.
Correct.
In the second mortgage that we're going to obtain, are we able to be noticed if a default would happen so that we could step in and take care of that? So we don't lose our position at all?
Yes, we would by law be entitled to notice if there was a foreclosure. We can put in the mortgage agreement with, we can put in an agreement with TEDCO that they'll provide.
And we would want that?
Yes.
Okay, okay,
An opportunity to cure before any default.
okay.
We can work that out, I think. I have confirmation.
Yeah. It's on camera, you know, Tamara.
I know.
Is there any other questions or comments?
I guess I have one more comment to make. We have probably almost $250,000 tied up in this. So if we let the property go back, we just lose that, basically. So in any opportunity to pay back the city, really, so.
Really, this all came about just because of bad choice of documents, really, and the same attorney worked for the city, TEDCO, and the selling party, and so there wasn't ever a second set of eyes to look at it, and when I looked at it, the conflict of the language is conflicting, and that's where we ran into trouble, and so really this is just to fix what ought to have been done a long time ago.
And Tamara confirmed a lot of, I guess, my interpretation of the documents. When I had looked at them prior, I got an email from her to Tim, and I'm like, okay, must have been on the right track there. We couldn't both come to these same conclusions independently and be wrong. Or if we did, that's really unfortunate.
All right, then, is there a motion to approve this?
I so move.
Spear with the first,
I'll second.
and Boots with the second.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil, Boots,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear.
Yes.
All right, so that resolution has been approved. All right,
Thanks,
now
Steve.
moving down to motions for approval. The claims list, is there anything on the claims list that needs to be pulled out to discuss? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve that claims list? Anderson with the first,
I'll second.
and Spear with the second.
McNeil, Boots,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper.
Yes.
All right, the next one is to consider a public hearing on March 27th for the proposed plans and specifications and estimate of costs for the park improvements, which would be the sidewalk paving, and drainage improvements in the high school football field. So this would be to set the public hearing in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah. Any questions? If there's none, is there a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Spear with the first. And McNeil with the second.
Boots,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil.
All right, so that has been set for March 27th. And the next one is the approval of purchase of a digger derrick truck for the electric department. Lloyd?
Well, for about a year now, we've been looking at digger derricks, trying to come up with something for the utility to use. We did find this demonstrator. This truck, if it was new, you were gonna buy it brand new, it'd be probably close to $200,000 or a little more. Clay looked it over today, and some of the things that we found was, and I talked to Altec about this, was the windshield's got some bullseyes in it, rock chips. And they said they'd take care of that. One of the other things that we found was, Clay found this, was there's rust on the deck lip welds, rock chip in the windshield, a couple of decals, the toolbox, there's a little bit of paint peeling on that, and then the remote control for the boom. It is missing a button, but Colby said they would take care of the windshield and the other stuff, but I didn't get an answer on the paint or the rock or the paint on the deck or anything like that. But we're also not buying a new truck. It is a demonstrator, and they take and they build these. They keep them around for 2 or 3 years, and then they sell them off. Right now, this is the only truck that the guys have found that they like, and they're willing to live with a few things that it doesn't have, just so we can get a newer, up-to-date digger derrick. Do you have anything to add, Clay, or?
No, I didn't see any maintenance history, we didn't get that yet of the truck, so that's a big unknown. I don't see anything on the chassis that would indicate that it's been torn apart or anything like that. It looks good, but, I didn't operate any of the Altec digger derrick part of it. So it is what it is, it's a demo unit, it does come with some warranty. And we need to update this piece of equipment. It's way past time.
Have you requested a maintenance history?
Yes, I did today.
So do we wanna do something pending that in case there's something on there that you don't like?
That's up to you.
It's possible. I don't know what kind of
Will they hold
stress they've hold on for a couple of days.
If we don't accept the truck tonight, it's gonna go back to Ohio. And that people who had it there last, they want it. The truck does come with a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty, but there's only a year left on that. The Altec portion of the truck has 1 year parts and labor, 90 days of free travel, and they'll get us the service records. I'm confident there's nothing wrong with the truck. They're going to add about $3,000 of extra added value to the truck by putting a bucket on it, and the controls and the bucket liner, so that we can also use it for another truck.
Any fax or email the maintenance history yet tonight?
There's nothing on the chassis, you can tell stuff's been taken apart. Nothing looks like it's been taken apart, I can't guarantee that, but it doesn't look like it's been monkeyed with, so I think it is what they represent it to be, but maintenance records would be nice, but it would surprise me if there was anything wrong with it. Or if it's had major problems, it hasn't been messed with, you can just tell. I think it would be a decent truck, and Floyd's guys like this style of truck, so
Yeah,
if they like it, that's the most important part of it.
it would be 2 or 3 more years before we could probably run across a deal like this one again. Altech says once they get rid of the last of their demos, they're gonna build some new ones, and then they're gonna keep them around for 2 or 3 years, like they normally do, and then they'll be gone again. We did check with Terex Telelect, and they don't have what we want. There's nothing there, and the one gentleman I talked to from a competitor said I wouldn't buy our truck, I'd buy the Altech. So,
Just out of curiosity, how old is our current one?
23 years old, Clay?
It's a 93.
And then how long
24.
should they last?
Theoretically, they'll last forever if you maintain them, but the problem with our current truck, the last time I got parts for it, for the digger part of it, the chassis run forever. The last time I got parts for the digger part of it, they don't know how long they're going to support it, which means in the foreseeable future, they're not going to support that particular model because of its age. When that happens, almost nobody will work on it, because now you're becoming the engineer and all that stuff, and the liability, we all know what that is. So, right now, the truck, you can maintain it. I think the one that they're looking at is a decent truck. This thing needs to go. I mean, if they stop maintaining parts for it, 2 months from now, we're done getting anybody professionally to work on it, because if they won't supply parts, they won't work on it. It's just that simple.
And I know that Altech had told me in the past that most of the stuff that gets when it gets to be 25 years of age, they don't want nothing to do with it. They don't want to work on it, they don't want to take care of it, and that's just about any manufacturer the way they were talking.
Yeah, that's not, that's everybody. I mean, that's not just Altech. It's
Yeah.
25 years is pretty much the limit they want to support. They want you to buy another truck.
So that probably means there's no value for our truck. What do
Oh,
we
our
do
whole
with our
truck has value to somebody else that would use it.
The
So
chassis- the
there is
chassis
a value.
itself. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, our truck, it's definitely not
And we'll sell it.
garbage. The chassis is definitely worth money. It's,
That's the best
well,
part.
got
of the truck.
20,000 miles on it and 1,900 hours. It makes somebody a heck of a truck.
What kind of value do you think would be on it?
I have no idea. I really don't.
Because I'm thinking
Altech offers us $2,500 for a trade-in.
2,500,
Yeah,
that's no
I think
value.
we can do better than that.
it'd be something I would definitely put out for bid, because I think it would be surprising what you bidding for. I think people would want that chassis or something besides a digger derrick. It would be worth it.
Because you're saying this is more than what you had set aside for, in your budget.
The equipment committee, what did we decide on, Clay? Was it 140,000?
We're trying to start originally between 120 and 130, 40, somewhere in that range. And it's, it's the demonstrator thing, there's not a lot out there. The big truck shows are all in October. When they release demos, it's after October. We're getting quite a ways past October, the demos are just about gone. And again, I can't stress enough, this is the deck style that our guys like. There is nothing worse than buying a piece of anything equipment-wise that somebody doesn't like. They will tear it up, it's just human nature. If the guys like this one, it's the one to buy.
I've never done that.
Yeah, I mean, this truck's got the pole carrier on it and some other things that we wanted.
Oh, okay.
The other truck that we looked at, it had a line body on it, which that meant all the storage bins went down the side of the truck like this. There was no place to put a pole rack or anything like that on there, so, like the guys and I discussed, the truck would just be unhandy, because then we'd have to buy a pole trailer to haul a pole to a job site. So we decided, we really want to stick with this type of body style like we currently have.
So then if we approve this tonight, it stays here?
Is there a motion to approve or deny?
So moved.
All right, Mr. Lieber with a motion to approve,
I'll second.
and Boots with the second.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil, Oops,
Yes.
Thank you very much. The guys will be tickled to death.
Yeah.
All right.
Just see them smile when you're driving it down the street.
All right, then to number 4, which is a 4% wage adjustment for Finance Director Lorna Fletcher.
I'll take this one.
All right, Mr. Long.
This one's on me. Finance Director Lorna Fletcher has not pointed out the discrepancy between the Verisight study and her wage of years gone by. I have been aware of this since I've read through the study and come to know everyone's paid. There are sort of two things that have come to the surface here over the weekend, as I've heard. One is that indeed Lorna opted for retirement about a year ago under a policy established by the City Council some years prior that said if you are eligible for IPERS retirement, age and term of service, and can retire, then an early retirement from the city under these conditions allows you to draw a retirement benefit of $25,000, which is taxable. So that is one thing, and that was something that was agreed to by the council a year ago. I think it was both prudent and respectful. In looking at prudent and respectful in a different light, I would say that the person who has managed over years of dealing with people like me, managers that come and go and have big ideas and high demands and great expectations, have dealt with people like me, and then also with the interest and the desire of the City Council and the general well-being of the community, has been able to manage balanced budgets for years, has been able to keep the city's nose clean with its annual audits and financial reports with the state of Iowa and with the independent auditors, and generally just shows up day after day to manage a very big, complex budget. The wage study suggested that the median wage for this position was $69,000 and change. There is a provision in your the labor contract that says that if you are an employee who is below the median level of wage, then in addition to whatever adjustment employees' wages get, and this year it was 2%, then those folks who are below that get an additional 2%, with the goal of getting these people up to the median wage, because A, you want to respect the work they do, B, you want to keep them, and C, when it's time for the replacement, you want to be in the ballpark so that you can find competent people who will show up and do the job and tackle the umpteen demands that come with this job. So it was my initiation to acknowledge that Lorna's wage has been below the median. She has shown up and done the job, and she's now training a person in the transitional phase of her career at the moment with which she is earning less than that person. The number that is in this memo of $69,000 is 2% over her current wage and a 2% adjustment up, so 4%. And it sounds like a lot to go from the 62 and change to 69. I'm not looking at numbers, but when you look at the fact that this adjustment is for a 5-month period, January through May, it turns into something like $3,600. This, on the face of it, is, in my opinion, not a huge amount of money, and for my part, it's more an acknowledgement of the fact that somebody has, again, shown up, done the job, and kept your community afloat for a lot of years. That's my homily. I rarely do these, but I feel strongly about it, and so I leave it to you, and whatever you do is fine with us. We will continue to do our jobs the best we can, but I think it was important to at least acknowledge this and put it in front of you. So with that, I'll sit down and shut up.
I would like to say that I think this is a huge thing and Hugh Tomorna. But in light of the Verisight study, I think we also too have to take the person out of the position and vote the position. And I highly believe that this position merits that salary. So I think that's kind of the statement we would be making, not so much setting a precedence for a particular person, but for a position. So I guess I'm in favor of, in light of the Verisight study, what that shows.
I absolutely agree. I think the Verisight study justifies doing this. It's something we've been actually, I think, remiss in doing in the past.
And the council has known this even before the Verisight committee. I'm a senior member here, and some of my earliest days on the council, it was acknowledged that she was on the low end of the scale.
And why did you do something about it then?
It's always budget time.
Yeah,
Let sleeping dogs lie, huh?
yeah, always used to put it off.
That's not a good thing to do.
So is there a motion to approve this pay
Make
adjustment?
that motion.
Anderson with the first,
I'll second.
and Spear with the second.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
No.
McNeil,
No.
Boots,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
All right, so it carries. Yep, 3 yeses. All right, so now on to the fifth one, which is consideration of setting a public hearing for the city council meeting for proposed plans and specs to form a contract for estimate of cost of repair, water main repairs on Cedar Street. The public hearing would be on the 3rd of April during our city council meeting that night.
Exactly.
Is there a motion to approve this hearing?
So moved.
Spear with the first. And McNeil with the second.
Leeper,
Yeah.
McNeil, Boots,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
All right, so that'll be April 3rd, we'll have that public hearing. And now, the consideration to permit new decorative flower urns to be placed within the city right of ways. Linda?
I'll be standing here a while. In the agenda packet, Dan Roberts will make 8 cement flower pots, and I gave you some photos of what they probably will look like. They would be colored, and this is to bring some color back downtown since the clay are gone. The clay flower pots are gone. They would be strategically placed downtown. And so I just need permission from the council, if you are in agreement, that we start brightening our town back up.
Does he have a timeline on how long they should last?
That's a good
As long as
question.
nobody knocks them over.
Well, it's gonna be really hard to knock these over because they're reinforced with rebar
Okay.
and they're gonna be pretty tall. And so I suppose if a semi ran into them, it would be disintegrated. But I'm assuming the lifespan on these are gonna be many, many years. And there are many cities that go to the flower pots that look like this because the lifespan is different than the clay flower pot that we had before, that we had for many, many years. But when they were broke, they were disintegrating anyway from the bottom. And I think Dean probably can attest to that. They were really getting in bad shape, and something was going to have to be done. We were hoping not to do something so soon, that we could have maybe taken a few out at a time and replaced, but that option stopped then.
You said the chamber's gonna choose between these 3 styles?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, and Dan Roberts is local, which we like that too. So he is giving us a great deal on these, and you know, they could be colored, but it would be a nice accent to our downtown. And I know I did have some citizens, they were very sad about the clay flower pots, that they were gone, and they were wondering what we were going to do to bring some color downtown. And so this is an option that the chamber worked on.
All right. Any questions?
How many we need?
Well, we're going to start with 8, and go from there. So 8 this year, there may be more next year, it really depends on what we finally do downtown.
Per unit price.
For the price? Well, they normally cost up to $500, but Dan is gonna shoot us a deal, and I'm not real sure, and the chamber is paying for it. So, he's gonna work with the chamber. Yes.
I forget, how many of those clay ones did we have?
Oh, we had 60-some downtown.
No,
And, well, let's see.
83.
Okay,
83.
he knows. And there were some that
I
were
know them all
off-site
personally.
too. So there were flower pots that were
You bet.
off-site that weren't
You bet.
downtown. Yeah,
Spend time with each one.
there were a lot.
Well, that's including the ones in the outlying areas, like Walmart.
Casey's and,
Yeah.
yeah, there were Kirkwood, doctor's offices.
This is just approval to put
That we
them
can
on
put them on city
right
property
away.
downtown, yeah.
Okay.
I
Is
make
there,
a motion to approve.
yeah, is there a motion? Boots with the first,
I'll second.
and Spear with the second?
McNeil?
Yes.
Boots?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
We'll be working on it now.
Mm-hmm. All right, so then to number 7, which
Yes.
is proposals for rent of office space for community development office.
I just wanted to give options, because the next item is for the Legion building. And, whatever you ask me to do, I can seek further options. I didn't know if some council members would also like to tour these 3 places. I know that some of you already have, and TEDCO members have, and chamber members, and the commission have too. But if you would like to tour these, I'm very happy to set a date that 2 council members, I will have 3 tours with 2 council members in each, and then the 3rd tour, the mayor and another council member, so everybody's divided up so we don't have a quorum, along with the other committee members. If you are interested in looking at this option. And that's for a tour. So,
I would like to.
All right.
yes.
Me too as
So
well.
I'll go,
Are
okay.
these all downtown?
They are all downtown. They are all on Cedar Street. Yes.
About Aspect's property.
Yes, that is substantially more money, but if you would like me to set up a tour there, I can do that. I'm happy to.
Where's this next, Tim?
That's where Progressive Rehab used to be. And at one time, it was $1,200 a month.
Have you asked them recently? Or?
No, they had come in my office probably 6-8 months ago, and that's what they had said. So that's why I stayed away, but I am very happy to ask them. If you would like, and I'd be happy to arrange that. I'll call them tomorrow.
Because the Cochran building hasn't changed at all since
No,
we looked at it
no,
before.
no, it's still like when you saw it before, yes. Yeah. But I updated everything, so I called and updated from before. So you would have the facts, and then obviously I can go ahead and find out the facts with SVACs.
And then NBC, they've completed their construction on that.
Yeah, they have to put up the walls yet, but it wasn't done, I think it was bare bone when you saw it last time.
I'm not really very excited about signing a 10-year contract with anybody.
Okay, those are things I just need to know and
Sure.
report back, you bet.
I mean, unless the rent wants to stay the same for 10 years. Otherwise, you're locked into their discretion on.
My understanding is the rent would stay that for 10 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So then, with this topic, would it benefit us the most to table it right now?
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion to table this?
Some of,
Spear with the first and McNeil with the second?
And I will email everyone to let you know when the tour is. And would you prefer evening tour?
I would.
Yes. Yes.
Boots?
Are you driving in the evening?
Yes.
Every night.
Okay. I can.
Okay.
I'll have to do morning with
Anderson?
you or something.
Spear?
yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
McNeil?
Yes.
I'll do a daytime if anybody else is interested.
Okay, I've got you down to you and Tim.
anytime between them,
Okay.
except lunchtime
Bedtime.
breakfast.
Okay.
Around 2 in the afternoon, nap time.
Nap
Yeah.
All right, the 8th one, which is the plan for the rehab for the Legion building for Community Development Office. Now, I know the council, this is your guys' first time seeing those plans. Is there any questions or comments?
Do we have a copy of those plans that's a little more legible than what?
Yeah, sorry about that. I can get you a copy.
It was really hard to see.
I know, and I saw that, but there wasn't anything I could do about it. And I will be happy to get you a copy. Anybody else, I can make them tomorrow and get them to you. There's a few things we need to add. Tim and I spoke to Sarah Coleman, who is an architect who did all of this. So on page 1 of the opinion of the construction costs, the mold abatement, you see that is highlighted. That could go up or down depending on what they find in the basement. So she wanted you to be aware of that. And then the easement, we would need an easement on the east side because there would be a ramp over here. And that would be because the ramp would partially be in the alley.
Easement would be from the city.
Right, but still would have to have one. And she said the porch could be smaller or larger, but she just wanted this brought up to the council's attention. And then general conditions of construction costs, obviously, and I think we all know this, you built in the 10%, but she said they could go up or down because the building is old. And so it could change. And how soon you would, if you decided to do this, how soon, because costs change. If we wait, costs generally go up, generally. And so she just wanted those points brought out to you too.
It certainly came back a lot higher than I had hoped.
Yes.
I would have guessed.
Considerably.
Mr. Long and I had seen these a little bit before they got emailed out to you. Well, I think you guys had seen them a while ago.
Yeah.
Because you've been in communication. But we had actually discussed the possibility of hopefully maybe the city employees helping with some things, like the demolition, which they have at $11,000, or the porch and ramp, and then also possibly electric as well. And that adds up to be about $40,000.
Wow.
That would be labored out.
What's that?
I don't know, they just have
The
the
electric?
electrical. That's all it says, is electrical.
Electrical we can't do.
Oh, okay.
We're not licensed electricians.
Not you guys.
We also suggested, and don't have any firm numbers on this, but the meeting room area, which is designed as an alternate council chambers, could be left unfinished, which would save some money as well. So it is the really big number that all prudent engineers and architects tend toward, because no one likes to show up with an estimate that is $100 and then have to explain to you why it was really $140. So it is, I think it's a prudent estimate. The question remains, is it something you'd endeavor to want to spend your money on? If you look at this in terms of a mortgage, and of course I didn't think to write this down, but I recall running a 20-year mortgage on this at 4%, and it was in the high $800 a month range in terms of a mortgage. So you're back in the same neighborhood you are with the buildings you rent, but the buildings you rent, obviously you're just renting. So it's a discussion point. And
was it feasible to have her at City Hall? Have you looked at the spacing?
the problem with City Hall, from my point of view, for the person, we have the conference room upstairs and the council chambers, which are unutilized and impractical for most meetings. And we've looked at utilizing some of that space, but the difficulty is that for that position, Community Development Director, in my opinion, in my experience, people like to be able to walk in there without walking past everybody in City Hall. And it's not like there's that much walk-in, but there is some. So we would spend some amount of money on a city hall refurb and to make that kind of space, and we'd still be in that same problem of spending money on space that has no accessibility, no handicapped accessibility to it. It's a question you'll have to wrestle with, and I don't have an easy answer. We thought this was a good path to explore. I still think it's a good path to explore. Whether it's the path, I don't know.
Are we able to sell? I mean, we've owned it for, ever since they gave it to us, apparently.
We purchased it.
Oh, we did buy it?
Yeah.
We didn't give them a lot.
No.
Okay.
Right.
Is it property we could just, I mean, you know, it is a lot more than I think we would get a value out of. I don't also want to spend $14,000 to take it down.
We can
Now
probably spend
there's a
all
lot
of
of
that,
storage.
and
We
maybe
have
more.
all the garland, all the new,
Parks and Rec
we have
stuff.
lots of stuff on that first floor. There's nothing in the basement because it's really
It's
not.
not heated.
So you mean you're using it now?
I am using
Yeah,
it. I've
yeah.
got all the
Park and Rec is
garland in
using
there,
it.
tubs of garland, you know, to keep everything safe, and I've got the snowflakes, all the new snowflakes are in there, and all the new decorations are in there right now. Besides rec stuff,
Yeah.
and that's several walls of different things that he
But
has.
if you moved to one of the two other locations, you would have all
I
that
would have
storage.
space, yes, I would have, yes. The only one that would, if you're looking here, that I would not, would be Marcia's.
Unless it was upstairs.
Yes, and a lot of it I can't bring down then.
Right.
So we'd have to, I don't know where I would put it. But that's, I would like you to see that. I want you to see how all three of them would be designed and set up for that. So we'll true it.
Okay. So I'm gonna guess this would be a table as well. So is there a motion to table? Anderson with the first and Lieber with the second.
Boots,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Lieber,
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
All right, so now to the next one, which is city staff participating in the American Public Power Association's Day of Caring.
This is not till June 5th, but I like to get my ducks lined up in a row. And so what I'm asking, I'm requesting if one employee from each city department would be available from 9 to 11, that they also be included in this project. And if, I could have at least one council member and or the mayor to help out that day, that would be fantastic too. And then what I will do is I will set up where we're going and do all the publicity for that. And it's just I think it's a really nice thing what the city can do to help others. So the hard part would be for someone to volunteer for that.
Because you did those last year.
Yes,
too.
we did.
Yes, we did.
And last year, just the electrical department, but we put that together rather quickly,
Mhm.
so this year there'd be more time.
Okay. Does anybody want to move to approve this?
I'll make that motion.
Boots with the first
I'll second.
and Spear with the second.
Did that mean I just volunteered?
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Lieber, McNeil, Boots,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
And now the hard part, yes, if I could get like at least one council member to volunteer for this project, that would be fantastic. Two would be great, but beggars cannot be choosers, so.
I can help.
Okay.
What time is that? I don't do
It'll be
9
from
o'clock.
9 to 11, but we will be corresponding before that, so.
Okay.
All right, so the next one is maintenance and improvement expenses for the RAGBRAI bike and then mounting it
I
downtown.
bet you're glad I missed the last council meeting with all of this. one of the things that was brought to my attention by some community members was our 2008 rag bike. And got to thinking, and the chamber, we did, and one of the things that a lot of times, I always give the example of Brandon, Iowa. Everybody knows Brandon, Iowa because it's got the big frying pan. Brandon's probably as big as Stanwood, but it stands out because they've made it stand out, so you know what Brandon, Iowa is. Well, with the flower pot destruction, it kind of accelerated things a little bit with what we need to do to stamp us now. And the RagBrite bicycle is a very unique bike. And I know that, Dean, you were very involved with that several years ago. And I did budget that for one of my projects for fiscal year 2018. And what we would do, if you agree, and if not, we can come up hopefully with another plan, is and not to take anything away from the Freedom Rock though. So if we could get that bike mounted in the green space, and lights would be on it. I have talked to both Steve and Floyd, and a lot of the man hours would be coming again from our city guys, but to get that bicycle mounted. One of the things that Dean had suggested, which was very unique, is to mount the bicycle at an angle. So it looks like, it's going up a hill. And we have a lot of traffic on Highway 38. And when we have a staple in our community, people will stop and they're going to shop, and they're going to eat in our restaurants, and they're going to remember us like we remember Brandon, Iowa, because of the big frying pan. And I thought, why not utilize this bicycle? The cost of the bicycle, I can tell you the lights, that's how much it's going to cost. I already know that. The other thing I talked to the guys, threw higher numbers out, like the cement and the paint, and a little fence. I've also talked to Mike Pelzer with Community Insurance, because I knew that probably would be a question, and he said to me, that is no different than park equipment. And then he says that is no different than the fire escape on City Hall. Everything has a risk. And he says it is no different than anything right now, so don't worry about it. So, but I would take some precautions to make sure that, we didn't entice a child. But I would like to really get moving with this. So it could be, I'm hoping, mounted by summer. I know it's going to take some time. And that bicycle, it's something really cool that's been tucked away for a long time. And I would like for us to get it back out.
All right. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I'm pretty selfish, and I like it where it is. I drive by it every day. But it needs to be shared with.
I drove by it the other day and it was laying down.
I got blown over by the wind. So I need to get that bicycle up. Uh-huh.
Is there a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Spear with the first,
Second?
and Leeper with the second.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Boots,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear.
Yes.
All right.
And then one more thing, and it'll be in your packet next time, is the chamber is also looking at, and with local artists, some decorative art that's going to be going down. So I just want FYI right now. Okay. Thank you
Are you
very
gonna
much.
be,
Yeah.
Linda, are you gonna ride the bike?
Well, we decided. Yeah, we're gonna.
Steve
Yeah, I am.
Steve and I are going to pull her uptown, she's got to ride it up.
Let her away.
Yes. Something to see. All right, so the number 11 down here is the consideration of approval of updates to the gas utility operations and maintenance rules. Mr. Long?
Defer to
Virgil.
Yeah, we did this in May of 2016. Now with a lot of new regulations, 41 changes. We recommend that we do it again. The biggest change being the excess flow valve we have to offer to existing gas customers.
Okay.
Excess flow valves are actually designed for plastic because it's easy to cut. And now they want us to offer it to people with steel services. I've never had a cut steel service. It's always been plastic. We gotta do it because of the law.
All right. Is there a motion to approve this?
I approve.
Lieber with the first,
Motion.
second, and Anderson with the second.
McNeil? Boots?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear? Lieber?
Yes. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And the last one, which is the appointment of Ken Kroc to fill a vacancy on the Board of Adjustment. Tanya Johnson had actually nominated Ken because he would fill the role of a realtor and they could hold a quorum from now on with the Board of Adjustment.
Do they have to be residents within the city? 'Cause he is not.
I think for Board of Adjustment, I think they do
You would qualify.
last.
All right. Should we table this just so we make sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
So moved.
Lieber with the first to table, and McNeil with the second.
Boots?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Lieber?
Yes.
McNeil?
All right. So that's
The next table.
yes. So, and then moving down to discussion items, which would be the removal of the tree and green space. You again.
Yeah. Sorry. The tree, there was a tree planted in the center of the green space, and I'm just requesting we get that tree moved because there's gonna be other things going into that space, and, move it now while it's young. And Dean and I have talked about that too.
And is this
So-
moving it off that property?
Off the property,
Okay.
yes, yeah,
Uh,
and replanting it, yes,
on
but
city
not-
property elsewhere?
wherever Steve wants it to go,
All right.
okay?
All right, thank you. Then down to the reports. It was noted in the paper that myself, McNeil, and Boots went and visited Bobby Kaufman with our student ambassadors. Fun-filled day of state government and learning about that stuff. The kids, I think, had very wide eyes looking at everybody that was in constant motion the entire time we were there. It was a fun time, and I hope they got some out of it. All right, so that's my report. Council. No. Committee. City manager.
Nothing to add.
All right, and then department head. Nope. All right.
I got a few things.
All right.
One of the things we didn't discuss with the truck was where the funds were gonna come from. The money is there in the central garage account, wasn't that right, Lorna? And we were going to amend the budget and transfer the funds. Now, that was something we never discussed when I come up here, and I just wanted you to know that's what that's what the plan is.
Because this was budgeted in next year's budget,
Yes.
so we're just moving it ahead a few months,
And then
and it'll be paid the same way.
Okay.
And then, the other day, got a nice little surprise from RPGI, got a check for $42,000 back from the lawsuit they filed against, MISO, ITC, Mid-American, Alliant. I can't remember who all the people were they sued. But at any rate, wasn't just, RPGI that did this. It was a whole bunch of groups in the state and in the Midwest, because they felt we were being overcharged, on transmission rates. And at a later date, I'm gonna bring to you some changes I wanna make in the rate structure for the demand customers. I haven't got all that information put together yet, but I wanna make sure that we're at least covering our costs, and right now we're not. We're just a little bit behind. I talked to Tim about this for a little bit.
This is related to the study that Latham Associates did last year as well.
Yeah, it's some of the things that we're gonna need to address, so, but at any rate, I texted the guys, they're all excited about the truck, and they're pretty happy, so.
All right.
Anyway, thank you again very much.
No problem. Is there a motion to adjourn? Lieber with the first and Boots with the second.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Lieber?
Yes.
McNeil? Boots?
Wow. Good time.
Press.